Hello everyone, it's Tommy with Studio Scents. A few days ago, my good friend Ashton from Scents tagged me in a video about 3 fragrances that I have a love and hate relationship with. Actually, it tagged me and Matt from Georgia Gent to do that. So when we return, I'm going to talk about 3 fragrances that I have a love-hate relationship with. So stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. As you well know, fragrances are a very subjective thing, and that makes sense because it's often associated with the fashion industry. There's going to be fragrances out there that you're not going to be too keen on, that other people love, and ones that you absolutely fall in love with that other people, and maybe even a whole community, will hate on. So you're going to run into that if you're in the fragrance community for long at all, just because, again, the subjective nature of fragrance. There are 3 fragrances that I have chosen today that I have a love-hate relationship with. So the first one contains one of my absolute favorite notes of any fragrance, and that is tobacco. And it is part of Zara's Tobacco collection, Rich, Warm, and Addictive. Very appropriately named fragrance. It's really hard to get your nose out of this fragrance when it's in it. My love is of the fragrance itself. And what's amazing is this fragrance is $20. So when you're purchasing it, you think you're going to get a $20 fragrance when in fact you're getting a much higher quality smell. Unfortunately, the hate part of it comes into play when you spray this on and just a few minutes later you want to spray some more because it smells so good and it kind of dissipates. So the performance is definitely, it's interesting, the fragrance itself is a high dollar smell. The performance is much lower than $20, and it's a shame because I really, really like the fragrance, but I really, really hate their performance. And you probably can think of a few like that yourself that you own, but for me, this guy right here, and I'm gonna prove it right now. Some of the notes that you can enjoy smelling in Rich, Warm, and Addictive: tobacco, coconut, sandalwood, honey, and cedar. Those are all some wonderful notes that are highlighted or featured in this fragrance. It is such a good blend. I call it a gourmand masterpiece. That's how I feel about it. I love the smell of this. And it is one of the most appropriately named fragrances out there. However, the performance is absolutely zero. I literally have bathed myself in this practically. I've sprayed, and I'm not even kidding. I think I even have a notebook somewhere where I wrote some notes down for observation, as I often do with fragrances for purposes of review. And I think that I wrote down that I sprayed this like 16 times one time. And within 30 minutes, I walked through a room, asked my wife, "How do you like the fragrance I'm wearing?" And she said, "What fragrance?" So, and I didn't catch whiffs of it on myself. In fact, that's why I sprayed so much, because I just couldn't smell it on myself. So I don't think that I am alone in this observation. I think it's actually built into the fragrance. Zara is a great house, but they do sometimes suffer from poor performance because they have low-priced designer fragrances. So you can almost expect to get your money's worth out of a lot of them, but some of them will surprise you, like Rich, Warm, and Addictive. Great smell, love it. Terrible performance, hate it. The next fragrance that I have a love-hate relationship with, you might be able to figure out. When Paco Rabanne released this fragrance in 2013, I wonder if they knew that it was going to reach such iconoclastic, religious, such iconic status. And that is Paco Rabanne's Invictus. Now, when I first smelled Invictus, it wasn't on a person, it was on a sample. I was at the mall, I was in some department store, Belk's maybe, and I smelled it and I was like, I really like this. And I sprayed it on my skin, went home, couldn't take my nose out of the smell, and I said, I've got to get this. I picked it up because I hadn't smelled it before. I really liked the bubblegum sweetness, yet it was very sweet, but also very masculine, and I liked that combination. I still love the fragrance. It's still a very good, sweet, masculine fragrance. That's the love part. The hate part is it is so often cloned. The reason that I hate Invictus is it has given the industry an excuse not to be creative. Instead of spending their resources and their Lenas, their master perfumers, spending money on giving them license to create something wholly unique and new and refreshing and that brand new fragrance that we're all yearning for, they continue churning out fragrances that are clones. And it's not, you'll often see something that will say inspired by Invictus. No, it wasn't inspired by, it was inspired by the prophets. So what they're really cloning when they clone a fragrance, what they're trying to do is they're trying to clone the prophets as well. That's the game. I don't like when a fragrance reaches such iconic status that it gives the industry an excuse to not be creative and not create unique fragrances, because there are a ton of fragrances out there that are similar. Davidoff Run Wild is an example. It's nice, I like it. It's a clone of Invictus pretty much, even though on the dry down it is a little different, and I've reviewed that. You can check out my review, first impression of that if you wish. But yeah, having said that, love Invictus for what it's done, you know, and I still think it is a quality fragrance, but it's given the industry an excuse to be lazy. So that's my love-hate relationship with Invictus. Very last fragrance, my third one, may not make sense to you, and it's really kind of a silly reason that I have a love-hate relationship with it, because it's purely based on fragrance, and it's kind of a mystery to me. And I'll kind of explain, sort of, as best I can anyway, because it's still kind of a mystery to me. But it's Dolce & Gabbana's K. Other than the fact that my last name is King, and there's a crown on this bottle, and there's a big fat K on the front of it, that's kind of cool. Just like when I pick up Tommy Hilfiger, the Tommy on the bottle is cool. Above and beyond that, there are days, and it's about 50-50, where I really, really like this. And I think it's unique. I love the juniper berries in it. That's the primary prominent note that I get. Blood orange, lemon, cedar, juniper berries, patchouli. So a lot of things in this fragrance that makes it well-rounded and like a standard, modern, sophisticated, masculine, blue, fresh scent. But that's not what this is. What turned out is a very, very unique, primarily juniper berry, very sharp, sometimes astringent sharp smelling fragrance. And I happen to love the smell of juniper berries. Juniper berries are what's used to flavor gin. Gin doesn't have like a really strong flavor. It's just very light. It's pleasant. But I love the smell, the fragrant smell of juniper berries. And so that's why I like Dolce & Gabbana K. But if there were a sliding scale, 1 being fantastic and 5 being mediocre, and then when you pass into 6 territory, it just gets worse and worse, 10 being absolutely terrible, I exist on a plane with this fragrance somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5. So it's like 50-50. There are days where I smell this and I'm like, I don't like this, and I don't know why. There's something about this that's off-putting. So there's something about the smell that I just don't really like, and I can't put my finger on it. And I sometimes think it's actually the juniper berries, right? The prominent note that on other days that I like. So the self-same reason that I like the fragrance is also the self-same reason that I don't like it. That kind of sensation doesn't exist with any other fragrance in my collection or any other fragrance that I've had, been exposed to. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but I've always had a love-hate relationship with Dolce & Gabbana K. There are days where I love it, and there are days where I hate it, and I don't want to be around it, and I don't want to wear it. But again, it literally falls half and half, not 60-40, not 20-80, 50-50. So could be my weird body chemistry. Maybe the oils in my body react to this fragrance in such a way to where, it knows. It's like a mood fragrance. It knows when I'm having a bad day. I don't know. Although that'd be terrible if half my days were bad. But I don't know what the reason is, but that's my third and final fragrance that I have a love-hate relationship with. And I told you that it was a silly reason. So it's not really a good reason, but there it is. So that is Zara Rich, Warm and Addictive, Paco Rabanne's Invictus, and Dolce & Gabbana K. You may have some fragrances that you feel that same way about. If you have fragrances that you have a love-hate relationship with, please put them in the comments below. I would be interested in seeing what your picks are. You don't have to pick 3, even if it's just 1, that's sufficient. To share 1 or 2 or 3 of them that you feel that way about. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. I am going to tag Timmy from Ashton Scents, and also Manny. Welcome back to YouTube, Manny, from Cascade Scents. So I'm going to tag those two guys, Timmy and Manny. If you guys want to do it, let us know what your 3 fragrances are that you have a love-hate relationship with. You might think it's easy, it's a little bit harder than you imagine, so enjoy if you want to do it. And anybody else out there that wants to do it as well, absolutely. Thank you again so much for watching my video today. As always, thank you for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Scents, and I'll see you next time.